Was I muted when I said that? Hello, everyone. We're just giving everyone a couple of minutes to make it into the room and then we'll begin. So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's panel on TikTok. I'm Megan Mitchell, and for anyone who would benefit from a visual description, I am a white woman in her mid-20s with short, bobbed brunette hair with a blonde streak, wearing metal-rimmed glasses, a fetching check shirt, and I'm sitting in a cream room. Behind me there is a vintage keyboard, a cutout of an 80s cartoon dog head, and a film poster. We'll also be joined by live captioners today, so you should be able to turn them on in the Zoom control panel down below, and Maddie is sharing the external link as well. And to facilitate this, I am consciously slowing my mile-a-minute Glaswegian pace of speech. A recording of this session will also be available with captions following the festival. As I said, I'm Megan, I'm chairing today. I'm producer of independent exhibition organisation Matchbox Cine and an academic, currently researching the roles of independent cinema in collaboration with watersheds. But perhaps most notably, I am the world's leading academic on Nicolas Cage's first film, Valley Girl. So I have form in making the illegitimate legitimate when it comes to cinema. I'm also a TikTok fanatic, believing that when Vertov dreams, he dreams in TikToks. Today's session is part of the wonderful Cinema Rediscovered's Reframing film, and I hope you've all been able to enjoy some of the online sessions already and are looking forward to a weekend of wonderful cinema to come. But today we are here to deep dive into the meme-filled moving image minefield of TikTok. And I'm joined by an expert panel consisting of Kaylin Meadows, who's screen culture student, and who some of you will definitely know from her industry viral video essay, The Rise of Film TikTok. We have Alexis Dickerson, who's an academic currently exploring how Gen Z's exposure and production of high quality TikToks create an audience of film style experts. And Nick Frizzle, who's the multimedia coordinator at B&B Theatres, a US-based family-owned and operated theatre chain since 1924. Nick is also one of the leading lights of the cinema's popular TikTok and has brought in nearly 30,000 followers to their TikTok page. In the audience today, we have a cross-section of screen industry professionals, and I see you all saying hello in the chat, who may be curious or just perplexed by TikTok, perhaps both. We'll be hearing a bit from each panelist on their insights and involvement on TikTok, and then we'll be opening up for Q&A. So please feel free to type any questions you have in the chat. And don't be afraid to ask anything. TikTok is a very new thing, relatively speaking. Pamela Hutchinson, in her opening lecture for Cinema Rediscovered, described early cinema as young cinema, a time abound with wonder and possibilities of a new art form. And I think that's very true of TikTok as well. So to begin to lead us through the labyrinthian nature of an app that, if you simply go by news headlines, is a place of teen dance crazes, impenetrable, unending, self-referential humour, and maybe some not entirely legal data mining, we will hear from Kaylin, who's going to offer us some background and context to the community on the app, who are primarily creating and engaging with film-related videos. Over to you, Kaylin.
Thank you. And I'm going to share my screen and get started. Okay, so hopefully you can all see my screen now. So my name is Kaylin Meadows, and this is going to be a sort of film TikTok crash course. I'm going to explain what film TikTok is, how it works, and the types of videos that people make on there. And on screen, you can see there are some screenshots of film TikToks. Someone made a video about top 10 films that should be in the Criterion collection, or opening versus closing shots in film. And this is going to be building on my video essay, The Rise of Film TikTok, which I made almost a year ago, discussing where film TikTok came from in relation to film history and culture. And there will be a link to that video, as well as every TikTok that I talk about today, in a big PDF that will be on the BFI fan website when it's uploaded later on. So come back to it and use it to explore the world of film TikTok. So a little bit of background, what is TikTok? It's an app for creating, sharing, and watching short videos. And these videos can be created in the app or uploaded from your phone. And they can be up to 3 minutes, which is a new feature. It used to be only 1 minute. And because it's a video app, sound is also a big part of that. And TikTok is structured around what are called sounds, which are audio tracks that are used and reused across the app. So there's a vast music library. You can add pretty much any song to your video, or you can take the audio from an existing video. And sounds work similarly to hashtags, because every video that uses the same sound gets put on a dedicated page, which you can see here. This is a screenshot of the 37,000 TikToks that all use Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. So to talk about TikTok, first we need to talk about the algorithm. And we always hear people talk about the almighty algorithm on TikTok. So first there's the For You page, which is the heavily curated sort of front page of the app. And it's tailored to you. It's the content that shows up on the For You page is determined by your own engagement. So what are you liking? What are you commenting on? And what are videos that like you watch all the way through? So for more information about the algorithm, I highly recommend watching this YouTube video, What Makes TikTok So Popular by Thomas Flight, which I used for my own research, and it's very enlightening. So this tailoring through the algorithm is how different sides or niches of TikTok form, because you get grouped in with people with similar interests to you. So some examples, there's witch talk, gamer talk, cat talk, and one of those niches is film TikTok. Film TikTok, or more recently, as it's called, film talk, is generally a side of TikTok with videos about watching and making films. And keep this phrase in mind: my TikTok is not your TikTok, because everyone has a unique feed. There isn't one single film TikTok, more like a bunch of little ones that overlap. You know, everyone on this panel has a different experience with it. So when I talk about film TikTok, my focus is on young people who are watching films and sharing their thoughts informally. And another thing to note is film TikTok is special because it's personal. It's all about film in relation to the creator. So they're sharing their unique thoughts about a film, a filmmaker, genre, and usually, but not always, it's opinion over analysis. And the videos don't necessarily need to be high effort. Many of them are created right in the app. and it's a space for people to find others with similar tastes. And film TikTok has no experts because it's so opinion based. Everyone recognizes that film is a subjective experience. So let's talk a little bit more about sound in relation to niches like film TikTok. So again, a sound is a unique audio track that you'll find under a video and it gets reused. And so users might use a certain sound for a certain type of video. On the right here, there's a screenshot of TikTok, the dedicated sound page for the specific movie challenge, where someone made a video reading out prompts, for example, a movie that you didn't like at first, but then grew on you. And so what happens is other users take this sound and add in their own visuals, usually movie posters or letterboxed screenshots. Again, it's not heavily constructed. You can do it right in the app. And now you have a sound and its trends. And as of when I took this screenshot the other day, there were 939 videos using this sound. And so the algorithm likes to show you videos with the same sound again and again. And so when you have that sort of repetition, it creates a trend and a community like film TikTok. And on film TikTok, the videos, they can have voiceover or no voiceover. But text on screen is most popular, like just music and then putting film titles on screen usually. And what does a film TikTok look like? And the first thing I want to talk about is actually the limitations, because the app comes with limitations, but how are film TikTokers incorporating their film material within these limitations? And the biggest one is the safe zone, which is the part of the video that isn't covered by the TikTok UI. So there are two pictures here. On the left is a video without the UI over it. So I got this, I saved it to my camera roll, but on the right is a screenshot of what it actually looks like when it pops up in someone's feed or on the For You page. So you can see at the bottom, like the bottom fourth of the screenshot, there's the caption and the username. At the top, it says For You following, and there's a live stream icon. And then on the right, there's a like, comment, and share button. So there's a lot of noise covering it up. So it creates limitations because users need to think about shot selection and framing to make sure that what they want to be seen is clear. But it also opens up interesting possibilities for creative reframing, which I'll talk about shortly. And here are the same pictures, just with an overlay on the right showing the safe zone. So the top middle is the golden area. And here's some examples of creative reframing. On the left, there's just a TikTok with a solid color background, and then the clip sort of inserted in the upper middle area. The second example is has the film clip filling the frame, but the framing and the composition favors, again, the upper middle area. And then the last example, I really like this one. The film clip has been cropped to a square and then put inside the Spotify interface, which is really fun, and still focusing on the upper middle. And once you start noticing this pattern, you'll really see it everywhere. And then really quick, here's how captioning and subtitling work on TikTok. Subtitling overall is pretty common on TikTok, and it's something that a lot of creators take into account when making their videos. On the left, I have how TikTok's own subtitles look within the app, so they're above the video caption. And then on the right, there are two examples of burned-in subtitles. So these were part of the completed video that was uploaded to the app from these users' camera roll. Now that we have that background information, I'm going to go through some of the types of videos that you can find on Film TikTok. And once again, when this is fully uploaded later on, there should be a PDF available with links to everything that I'm talking about. The first type that I want to highlight is list videos. And these can be ranked like a countdown or unranked, so just a collection of films. So you have top 10s or someone's favorite movies, or on the right here, someone made a video of the best acting performances of all time. So let's take a closer look at that. So these are the best acting performances according to TikTok user Arthur Loves Films. This video got very popular on TikTok, but was also heavily criticized because it's really just a collection of white men yelling. But it's a great way to showcase how film TikTokers communicate with each other, because someone else made a response video, and here is that response. It's almost like a parody of the previous video. It's a different list of the best acting performances by someone else. And as you can see, it's more than just white men yelling. It has the same title design, same style, but the biggest thing is that it has the same sound. It's like a remix, because sounds connect videos. They have their own page. And you can find this video from the original video. All you need to do is tap on the sound in the corner, and it takes you right here. So this is an example of list videos, and also how the conventions of TikTok can be used for criticism that relates not only to film, but also the platform itself. Next are recommendation videos, which are just people recommending films for other people to watch. And so there's a lot of overlap with lists, because nobody on film TikTok is making a list of films that they hate. So all the lists are already sort of recommending films. And then there's an example. Someone made a video, they're saying, if you like Lady Bird or The Florida Project, you should watch Mommy or The Last Black Man in San Francisco. And then some other types of film TikToks. There are edits or fan edits, which usually come from a place of admiration for a film, and they usually acknowledge the sound and develop the edit around it, usually with like the mood or even the lyrics. There's a lot of star worship. You know, you usually edit someone that you're a fan of. And fan edits can also be used to re-edit films in order to highlight a certain aspect. There are educational videos where people share what they've learned about film. And again, my focus is on Gen Z. So these aren't experts. They're just sharing it because they learned something cool and they want everyone else to know. So for example, I saw a video the other day called "Why is a Streetcar Named Desire So Important?", which was a casual explanation of the film's context and the history of method acting. And I believe there's now in the chat the list of links. So if you want to watch that and others, take a look at the chat afterwards. And then finally, there's branded content, where these companies are responding to trends on the app, sometimes with popular sounds. So you can tell whoever's running these accounts, they spend a lot of time on there. In my opinion, nobody's doing it like Turner Classic Movies at TCM. I think their videos are very funny and clever. So these are some of the types of content on Film TikTok. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the future of cinema. Is Film TikTok the future of cinema? That's for all of us to decide. But I think it's important because it's a space for Gen Z to engage in audiovisual discourse, and we already have that on YouTube and Vimeo, but TikTok is less constructed than those platforms. And Film TikTok also mixes criticism and creativity, because you can sort of practice being a film critic, but also practice editing. So it really is a new and unique way to explore cinema. And on Film TikTok, young people are learning about film in a social environment. So there's access to knowledge that, and there's access to knowledge, and they're exchanging that knowledge with others. And over time on the app, your feed becomes a list of tailored film recommendations that pushes you to expand your tastes. I know that I've found a lot of great films on there. So you could listen to a million presentations like this, but there's only one way to really get Film TikTok, and that is immersion. So you have to spend time on it, and this is how they get you, because the app is designed to make you spend time on it and lose track of time. But every TikTok niche is a community and an ongoing conversation, so you just have to join in. So as I wrap up here, you might wonder, how do I find Film TikTok? You might have downloaded the app, but all you see is cooking videos or dancing. So here's what to do. First, look up film-related videos and creators. There are some hashtags and usernames on the right. And when you see a film-related video, engage. So watch it, like it. And this is going to tell TikTok that you want to see more film content. Soon you'll find yourself on Film TikTok, and you can continue to curate your feed to see the type of videos you're interested in. And yeah, and that's how you join Film TikTok. So welcome. If you're going to go on TikTok after this, welcome to Film TikTok. And keep an eye out. I'm not sure if the PDF is in the chat, but if it doesn't show up in the chat, it will be uploaded online after the fact. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Kaylin. And yeah, we'll get that PDF sent out to everyone. That was super useful, and I must say, similar to your video essay, it just really gave me an instant understanding of Gen Z's interest in TikTok and this overlapping film interest, and definitely how that chimes with young people exploring these interests really organically. So thanks so much. And this leads us very nicely on to this exploration of expertise versus non-expert with Alexis, as Alexis's current research delves into how people are using TikTok, developing as cinematic or at least moving image experts, specifically when it comes to editing. So I wonder if, Alexis, you could tell us a bit more about your research and your insights.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm gonna also screen share. Make sure I'm all right. So yeah, so my research, I'm a current master's student at the University of North Carolina in Wilmington in the States. So anyone in the stateside, hello. It's the morning for us. So thank you for waking up and joining in. So my current research is looking at TikTok as a descendant of cinema. So a little a little background into the research. Um, I initially went to film school to learn how to make movies, and then I downloaded pesky little app Vine, RAP, and that really got me interested in video content in a social media sphere. So when TikTok came around, I was one of the people who had jokingly downloaded the app just as a joke, um, and then got caught in the, as it's called, the doom scroll. I think it's doom scroll, death scroll. And I started to realize that the content that Gen Z is making on this app is very reminiscent of early cinema. I think Megan had mentioned it before, um, about early cinema being young cinema. But having a film studies background, it was also interesting to see that the high quality of the content that on TikTok. So not only are people on Gen Z, specifically on TikTok, producers, they're also consumers of media. So you've got this nice little circle, this circuit going on, where because of the high quality content that they're taking in and consuming, they're being able to produce and replicate things at a whole new level. So something as interesting as George Milius, with his trickery, so balancing, juggling your head, turns into a Gen Z has taken that idea and really just knocked it up to an 11.
Wait a minute! Who are you? Soldier Boy, tell. Whoa, whoa. Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
George Milius wishes he could. But really he had to, walk so that way TikTokers could run. But I do want to show a couple of examples of just where you can notice that Gen Zs understand aspects of the cinematic language, specifically with editing. Even if they don't know necessarily the terminology, they understand the language. So in these next two examples that I have, the first video on the left, you will be able to notice a graphic match. So this content creator, she does work with lightsabers. She makes choreography with lightsabers, and you'll notice the change with a graphic match. You'll also notice how she's using match on action, and you'll notice how she's also using a wipe, and how she's using the material that she has and the technology that she has, the lightsabers and her phone, to create to use, aspects of continuity editing. Right, so playing this again with no sound, right, and I'll just be talking over it. So you notice this is one shot. She's got her lightsabers, nothing crazy about them, and then boom, she's got a cut, right, where it changes, where she has her lightsabers out. It's a match on action, so that creates continuity. And then she's a 2, wipe into 1. Right, so we see the effect of the media and the content that these Gen Zers have been consuming their entire lives, whether that be from movies, other TikToks, right? And they're taking those elements of film style and they're incorporating it into their own pieces. And they can be serious or they could be used for jokes, as you'll see in the next video that I'm showing. Right, so we're using, again, another cut but we're also using match on action again to create continuity between the two different shots to tell the story of hitting your head on the countertop and then waking up after that. But these are, I don't want to necessarily say simple aspects, right? But these are simple details that are proving that Gen Z are becoming experts in their own right of the cinematic language and film style. So where are they getting that from, right? If we look at modern media, right? This is a GIF of a commercial from Nike where You Can't Stop Us. It's a split screen. You have two different actions happening on each side, and they're using match on action to create continuity between the two images. And it's not just editing, right? We're also seeing in the way that they're using the camera, using their phone. So the next GIF, we have a good old classic Michael Bay shot, right, on the left. But how does Gen Z recreate it? Well, what they do is they take a stick, they attach it to their ceiling fan, and they attach their phone to that stick, and then they have it playing, as you can see on the TikTok on the right. To create something that's similar, right? They are using technology to imitate film style, imitate the cinema. So it's really been interesting to see on the app how creative they're using the technology that they have access to and recreating things using different, right, more high-tech equipment. But not only are they learning from media that they're consuming, they're also learning from each other through tutorials. So these are two videos following the same motion, and they're creating content in-house. So they're not just creating, something in Premiere Pro and importing in the app, which you can do. They're also filming and editing within the app itself. So in the first video that I'm going to be showing, you're going to see this girl's going to be explaining the transition the tutorial for a transition. That's what they call editing in TikTok, is transitions.
I wanna end me.
Time to change. Then I experimented with some eyeliner and put on my red lights. Make sure to start the second half fully covering your head for a smooth transition.
I wanna end me.
So playing that video again, right, we can see that it's a screen recording, right? They also have captions. So they have captions. They also have text-to-speech as well in this video. And she's explaining how to move the camera, right? She's also showing timestamps of when to cut, essentially. Right? And then they change. This is all still an app. You can still see by that bar. She has not left the app. And then the bottom, you see she adjusted the music. Right, she adjusts it. It has a countdown. And then they continue filming. So Gen Zers are taking these tutorials and then they're making their own content from that, which you'll see in this next video.
I wanna end me. I wanna end me.
And so you have a bunch of tutorials all on the app of showing how to do all of these different transitions. And you have simple ones like this, but then you also have more complex videos that have tutorials that almost need a tutorial to understand the tutorial. You'll get what I'm talking about when you see this next video.
Cause some came in the mail today.
And you don't wanna fight with us. We big dogs, you don't. fight the wolves. No. Had rubbers in my backpack. Hey, you brought your games. Ah! Got it!
Cause some came in the mail today.
And you don't wanna fight with us. We big dogs, you don't fight the wolves. No. Had rubbers in my backpack. Hey, you brought your games. Ah! Got it!
There's so much in this tutorial, right? She doesn't even have time to add captions, to add, any kind of voiceover. So the Gen Zers who are on this app, right, who are constantly consuming this content on the app, can watch a tutorial like this and understand what she's doing. And the nice part about TikTok is, since it has a looping function, right, it automatically loops, you can watch a complex video or a complex tutorial like the one that you're seeing right now on repeat until you understand it. But it's also just interesting to see, just you can see the time and effort that's put into making these videos to then create a much shorter segment of content. So the question is, why is this important, right? Why is it important for us to look at Gen Zers making content on the internet? Well, when you become an expert, you want to be challenged, right? So TikTok is creating this environment where Gen Zers are becoming experts in aspects of film style, right? Especially with editing. So that means the media around them, right? To keep them engaged, right? Because you also have to think about the money aspect of it, as companies would like to do, and think about, for media to continue making money, right? Mainstream movies, TV, where you have this high quality content for free, right? They have to step their game up. And that's where you'll see innovation in the media, in cinema itself, right? Cinema is a constantly evolving, just, technology. It's constantly a moving experience. And so through TikTok and social media, we're going to see that. Hopefully, we'll see that change. And so an example is, this is an example of a filmmaker who's on TikTok, but you can see just how many, with the edit, how complex it is. So in case if you didn't catch everything in that 28-second video, I'll play it again. But also notice just the rhythmic aspect to the edit, right? This is an edit, even though it's a traditional filmmaker that's making content for TikTok, you wouldn't see this kind of edit necessarily on YouTube or in a movie, right? Or in a TV show, because it's very trippy. But on TikTok, it makes complete and total sense. And again, this is the quality of the, complexity of the content that Gen Zs are getting for free, that they're getting a lot of exposure to. And as you can see through these GIFs of the type of editing, And this entire clip was 28 seconds. So just thinking about how many different transitions there are, I think when I counted, there roughly are over 20. So they're almost like one transition per second. So it's so interesting to see, and it makes me, as a film scholar, someone who loves films, so exciting to see this potentially new generation who then could end up becoming filmmakers and seeing what they're bringing to the table. And to finish my presentation, I do want to kind of take it back to the beginnings, because even from early cinema, there's always been cats. So I want to end you all on a TikTok reminiscent of early cinema who focuses on cats.
Some give it to, some give it to, some give it to our girls. 5 million and 40 naughty shorty. Baby girl, all my girls, all my girls. Shonda Paul say, well, I'm on the way the time.
And thank you all for listening and watching.
Thanks so much, Alexis, and I really appreciate the reference to the cat vomit dancing that seems to be very popular on TikTok. And you touched quite a bit on the burgeoning sense, I guess, of the cinematic intent of TikTok, and I'd like to come back to that when we get into our Q&A, but I first want to bring in our third panelist, Nick, who can help us put all of this into the context of how cinemas, the OG homes of film, fits into TikTok and how his own creative impulses have manifested on there. So Nick, could you tell us a wee bit about why B&B Theatres began making TikToks and how you create your videos on there?
Sure. So as Megan said, my name is Nick Frizzell. I'm a content creator at B&B Theaters, a family-owned and operated company from the United States. And why we started was, or why we started making content on TikTok specifically, is through quarantine. I had a good deal of time because no new movies were coming out. I had a good deal of time to kind of sit back and reflect on the type of content that we were putting out. We were putting out a lot of YouTube videos and Facebook content at the time. So I had a chance to kind of sit back and analyze kind of what we were doing and where kind of the markets were going as far as consuming content. And like I think someone said earlier, TikTok got really big during quarantine because everybody was stuck at home, didn't have much else to do besides doing the doom scroll. So I started playing around with it on a personal account, and it started kind of picking up a little bit. So at the beginning of the year, I talked to my team and my boss about maybe taking some of the content that we've made, some of the longer form content with YouTube and Facebook, and kind of shortening it down and going to TikTok with it. And the thing that is kind of important for what we do is that we have theaters not in every state, right? And we're just in the US as well. So it was kind of hard to explain to my bosses that it's still good as a brand to be on this and to be known and to be seen around, even if those aren't necessarily potential customers that will go to our theaters, because they may not be anywhere close to any of our theaters. But it's good as a brand to kind of put yourself out there and get some kind of people knowing about the brand itself. As far as making TikToks, it's very sporadic with us. I think personally, as a creator, that kind of helps me a little bit. So the week before, so movies come out every week now, thank goodness. And so the week before, we'll kind of start brainstorming about what movies are going to come out the next week. And I'll watch the trailers a bunch of times. If we're lucky, we would have already screened the movie, which happens sometimes. And just kind of, we'll look at the trends a little bit. I try not to focus too much on the trends because I like, as a creative, I kind of like to do somewhat of our own thing. But it is inherently a part of TikTok to use the trends. So we do that at times. But I'll look at the characters that are in the film. I'll look at past films, and just try to get kind of an overall vibe of maybe the director or the genre, or just the kind of the films in general, so that we can make really short, kind of funny skits is kind of our wheelhouse, and about the films. So that's that's kind of it. It's really sporadic. Last, like we would do it every week for the next week, and I think that kind of keeps us fresh. It keeps it kind of exciting. And we've had we looked around beforehand as well to see if any other movie theater companies, at least in the US, were doing this. We checked all our competitors, and we've noticed that not a lot of them are doing anything besides just kind of putting up trailers and stuff. So we thought maybe this was maybe an untapped market, for the kind of audience that we were trying to get. As far as the hashtags and the sounds, we usually don't use a lot of sounds, just based on TikTok's okay with it so far. I'm sure eventually they will get a little more stern about it, but copyright is a huge issue for content creation. And since we cross post on Instagram, we put our TikToks on our Instagram reels, and we put it on YouTube Shorts. So we have to really watch what kind of music we put on there, because they're a lot more strict on those platforms. So it's just kind of another thing you have to think about when creating content for these different platforms. TikTok's been really cool about it so far, but again, I think that'll probably change eventually. As far as I took a lot of notes on the last two presenters, and it's interesting because I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. I learned on YouTube, much like a lot of people nowadays, and it's amazing seeing the people do so many creative things, even just in the app. Like we just watched Alexis show somebody creating all these transitions, all these really intricate transitions in the app. And something like that, as somebody who's done this for a while, I look at that and I'm like, oh my gosh, she made that in such a short amount of time. Where if I usually use Premiere Pro and After Effects, or the Adobe suite in general, to make mine, and to make all those in that software, it would be a lot more time consuming. And it's amazing seeing how many creatives there are out there, and how quickly they can make this content, and how good the content actually is. So it's fun seeing all that.
Thanks so much, Nick. And I would highly recommend everyone go immediately follow BB Theatres on TikTok, because again, in my own research of TikTok, like Nick says, there are very few film screening venues doing TikTok, certainly doing it well, and certainly doing it to the reach that B&B are getting. So I just want to invite all of our panelists to have your cameras on, so we can have a quick little Q&A. I have over prepared, because I am neurotic about this type of stuff. So I have 27 questions that I think we probably won't get to, and we've got some really great questions in the Q&A box. So I'm actually going to open up with a question from the audience, because we've got a really interesting one from Ian Wang. And Ian says that he appreciates the earlier shout out to Vine, and asks if the panelists have any thoughts about Vine as a precursor to TikTok's cinematic creativity, but perhaps without the same sense of community or conversational focus. So there's no stitches or duets or anything on Vine. And Alexis, I think you did quite a bit of research into Vine, might be able to speak on this.
Yeah, so I actually I saw that question in the chat, and it did make me laugh, because I actually wrote a paper about Vine as a storytelling device. It was recently published in Film Matters magazine. Yeah, I, as someone who had loved Vine so much, you could see the influence, especially when it comes to the comedy aspect of TikTok and Vine. I don't know how many of y'all go on YouTube and see a bunch of compilations that say TikToks that radiate Vine energy. So I think Nick had talked about, I had mentioned, someone else had talked about the quarantine, right? The panorama that we're all in, seeing that a lot of Viners or consumers of Vine, right? So consumers of Vine, once the panorama came around, the those creators, those consumers ended up going on to TikTok, right, and creating similar content. But also on the offset, you see all those compilations on YouTube that Gen Zers are consuming, and so they're bringing the nostalgia of Vine. It's weird to think of that as nostalgia with Gen Zers, and they're bringing that same kind of idea to TikTok now. It would have been really interesting to see, you know, if Vine had stayed around, if it would have looked similar to TikTok, especially with the fact of how much on the editing side of TikTok, which you'll have to be on the app to actually see it, the amount of filters, the amount of, content you can do on TikTok in-house versus Vine. I think I remember Vine, it was literally you could stop and start. That was it. It was only until afterwards where you could import sound. Like I remember when people wanted, you couldn't even import videos in the beginning. So people were recording YouTube videos that then they were posting as vines. So I think you can definitely see the whole Vine walked so TikTok could run. But then also those consumers help lead into the creation of that community as well.
Yeah, and some of my favourite TikToks are definitely odd Vine energy ones. And Kaylin, you mentioned, I guess, that comes from a lineage of other or still existing platforms, so Letterbox, YouTube, and Nick, you mentioned that you're sharing it across Instagram as well. Are those apps feeding into how TikTok is developing, or is TikTok just an island in its own right?
I think TikTok is definitely a lot of stuff with TikTok. It's not really new in what it is. It's just how it's made or how it works is what's different. Is what's different. Just a little bit about Vine. I actually I got my start on Vine, I guess. I used to make fan edits on there, and it's how I learned to use Premiere and After Effects when I was like 14. My sister and I would you know, edit TV shows together and stuff. And there was like a community around that, but I think TikTok sort of amplified it. But yeah, with a lot of the trends and like tags on film TikTok, a lot of them come from, Twitter chains. Like, you see on Twitter, like reply with 4 comfort movies, or on Letterboxd, people will make a list of like, well, they'll rank a certain director's filmography. So it's a lot of taking stuff from other social media platforms, but then making it more like into a truly audiovisual way of communicating.
And Nick, our audiences on Facebook. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, so I'm sorry. And there's definitely no doubt that that these other social media platforms like Instagram and now YouTube, they're starting to do this short formed vertical content. Definitely take inspiration from the popularity of TikTok, which is really interesting to see.
Yeah, I was really surprised at YouTube Shorts and the awkward placing of the TikTok ripoff in their app. We have another question which is very appropriate for Cinema Rediscovered. Matt asks, do you think doom scrolling and the nature of TikTok content makes Gen Zers less likely to consume archive film? How interested would Gen Zers be in the 1970s season that Cinema Rediscovered are putting on, for example? And Kaylin, you can maybe talk about because there's such a breadth of film appreciation going on TikTok.
Yeah, I think Gen Zers could be interested in any archive film, because film TikTok has been going for about a year and a half now. It started like in early 2020, and over time I've definitely seen people evolving their tastes. I remember there was actually like a sort of mini trend a little while ago where people would compare when they joined versus now, like what their tastes in film were. So I think really like people will just gobble anything up as long as it's if someone's making a video about it, people are going to see it and it'll definitely catch their eye. So it's really possible for anything to happen.
And maybe the answer is that the 1971 season should be cut up into TikTok videos, at least to catch those Zoomers. We've one other question. If anyone has any final questions, pop them in the Q&A box, because we're coming towards our end of hour long and we don't want to be on Zoom and get Zoom fatigue. But Laurel asks, and touching on some of the editing things, TikTok uniquely offers production tutorials on one platform, which is largely missing in traditional media outlets. Do you think TV and film will integrate similar levels of social interaction, or will the spaces remain separate? And I guess, Nick, if you've come from a YouTube background, which actually has that social interaction embedded alongside these tutorials, are you seeing that there's competing interests there, or is it just one big online moving image media family?
I think there's definitely different kinds of social interactions and different relationships we get depending on which social media platform you're on. Do I think TV and film will integrate that? Maybe. It's kind of for me, it's kind of hard to say. It'll be interesting to see. To me, TikTok is interesting because, especially film TikTok, is interesting because of the verticality of the content, and we're so used to seeing everything content wise in a 16:9 ratio, and how that kind of changes their perspective on the content that you're seeing. But yeah, I think it's just kind of up in the air. It could definitely. I mean, that's kind of the way a lot of trends are going right now. So it'll be really interesting to see.
Maybe the answer simply is that TikTok is just the future of cinema. That about brings us to the end of our exploration of the cinematic landscape of TikTok. And I think if the only thing that our audience has taken away from today is that TikTok is just another communal cinematic experience, all at once expanding people's taste for films and expanding their own creative abilities, then the panel has done its job. And if you're hungry for even more TikTok info and to hear from some real Gen Z TikTok creators themselves, I'm hosting a public session for Cinema Rediscovered tomorrow at 3 p.m. Kaylin will be joining me again, and we're joined by Kathy Brennan, film writer, and Josie Rose, who is a TikTok creator. And if you're after a recording of this session, we're going to go away, caption it, make it accessible, and it will be posted on the BFI fan film website, all captioned. Otherwise, all that is left for me to do is thank our wonderful panelists, our live captioners, and you, the audience. So thanks so much, guys.